Hey everyone, and welcome to a brand new video. In this video, I'm going to be doing a little bit of a weird one over here, but I feel like a lot of people are going to be looking for this on both sides of the political spectrum. So I'm going to be trying my best to go and highlight and showcase up all like the biggest parts of the Elon Musk and Donald Trump conversation that happened over on X or Twitter on this channel itself. So once again, I don't really necessarily care what your political affiliation is, but I just feel like people are going to look for it. So I was kind of sitting over here and decided to go put it all together. We also saw a really nice, good Twitter thread over here from Vigilant Fox. So I just want to go and just kind of put away all their highlights. I myself am not going to probably chime in too much into any of this because it's just not my place. I just do a bunch of random video games on my channel. So if you guys like that, you guys can subscribe. Check out all of our Target links down below for the summer holiday sales. And of course, follow the Twitter and Twitch and all that. And give me your thoughts down below. Just be respectful and let's dive on into it. So as I mentioned, this was pretty available over here on X. There's been a lot of people checking it out on both sides of the political spectrum. So let's go and highlight this on over here. Basically saying the interview first began with Elon Musk highlighting that there was a really big DDoS attack going on. There was a lot of people trying to go take down the network. A lot of brand new, just people want to go check out what's going to be happening. A lot of people actively listening on Twitter Spaces. Basically saying over here it was a little bit delayed. Musk said it was a clear indication of the strong opposition of allowing President Trump's voice to be heard. This massive DDoS attack illustrates that there's a lot of opposition to people just hearing what the President Trump has to say from his own words. Let's go play this on out.
All right, hello everyone. My apologies for the late start. We unfortunately had a massive distributed denial of service attack against our servers, and saturated all of our data lines. Like basically hundreds of gigabits of data were saturated. We think we've overcome most of that, and so it's now time to proceed. But as this massive attack illustrates, there's a lot of opposition to people just hearing what President Trump has to say, and but I'm honored to have this conversation. I want to emphasize it's a conversation, and it's really intended to just get a feel for what Donald Trump is just like in a conversation. It's hard to catch a vibe about someone if you just don't hear them talk in a normal way. And when there's an adversarial interview, like no one's themselves in an adversarial interview. And this is really aimed at kind of open-minded, independent voters who just trying to make up their mind. So you can understand like what is what is it just like to have a conversation. So honored to Donald, great to speak. We had a great conversation yesterday. As you mentioned yesterday, if we could just record that conversation and post it, it would have been excellent. And I hope we can have something like that today.
Well, I think we will. I'm pretty sure we will. And congratulations, because I see you broke every record in the book with so many millions of people, and it's an honor. We view that as an honor. And then you do want silencing of certain voices. Usually those are voices that have something to say that are constructive, oftentimes constructive. And
Yeah.
So we have to consider it an honor. But congratulations on breaking every record in the book tonight. That's great.
Well, thank you.
And that was kind of just their introduction to them saying and speaking into it. So the next one over here is from there, the conversation shifted to the more like the conversation of the sniping going on from the the president assassination. So Musk found it particularly interesting how Thomas Crooks had chosen the most obvious spot for assassination attempt and nobody saw it coming, saying if the goal is to assassinate, what's your favorite spot? That building. That building would be number one, Musk observed, with Trump agreeing that would have been the spot.
I mean, looking at the aerial views, that building would be like the number one spot for a sniper. I mean, it's like if you were to pick like what is the favorite, if the goal is to assassinate, what's your favorite spot? That building, the
You're
roof of
right.
that building would be number one.
That would have been the spot.
It's like you can ask for a better location. It's like number
No,
one.
that would have been the spot.
I mean, looking at the aerial.
So kind of just whatever discussing that one as well. Musk praised then Trump for the response to an assassination attempt, noting that instead of retreating, Trump continued to fight with a defiant spirit. As we get them going talk over here.
Your actions after that assassination attempt were inspiring. You instead of shying away from things, instead of ducking down, you were pumping your fist in the air and saying fight, fight, fight. And I think that's, I mean, the president of the United States represents America, and I think that is America. That is strength under fire, and so that's a big part of the reason why I was excited to endorse you as the president of the United States for having another term here is that was just incredibly inspiring. But I mean, what was it like for you?
Not pleasant, I
It's
have to
not
be honest.
pleasant.
I said there was
I
blood. I
mean,
had
being
more
shot is
blood.
not much fun.
I didn't know I had that much blood. The doctors later told me that the ear is a place that is a very bloody place if you're going to get hit. But in this case, it was probably the best alternative you could even think about because it went at the right angle, and it was a hard hit. It was very, I guess you would say surreal, but it wasn't surreal. You know, I was telling somebody you have instances like this, or like a lot less than this, where you feel it's a surreal situation, and I never felt that way. I knew immediately that it was a bullet. I knew immediately that it was at the ear,
Yeah,
and because it hit very hard, but hit the ear. And I also heard people shout, "Bullets, bullets!" Get down, because I moved down pretty nicely, pretty quickly, and we had bullets flying right over my head after I went down. So I'm glad I went down. The bigger miracle was that I was looking in the exact direction of the shooter, and so it hit me at an angle that was far less destructive than any other angle. So that was the miracle. That was
yeah.
for those
Split
people that
second.
don't believe in God. I think we got to all start thinking about that. You have to, I'm a believer now. I'm more of a believer, I think, and a lot of people have said that to me. A lot of great people have said that to me, actually. But it was amazing that I happened to be turned just at that perfect
Yeah.
angle, and all because I put down a chart on immigration that showed that the numbers were so great. I love that chart
I
even
mean,
more
maybe it's
now
a
than I
sign.
ever.
Maybe
Yeah,
that's a sign. You know.
it's an immigration sign.
You
But
highlighted a serious issue.
So anyway, as you guys can go and see, just talk about trying to go more into the politics, but kind of discussing the overall assassination attempt, which would also did have him, like, I think, looking on this direction, which made him go and not, like, well, get shot in the head. On top of that, so next discussion then turned to policy. Finally on this one, my little own, like, I'm trying not to chime in too much in this one. Like I said, I don't really want to have, like, I'm more of a gaming channel, who cares. I do kind of always wish that these political components on both ends would focus a bit more on policies and discussions on what they want to do for the future. That may be a hot take, may not be, but I would actually like more of, like, I see a lot of back and forth on both ends, and I kind of prefer, like, a proper discussion in regards to this. This discussion that turned to policy with Trump criticizing Vice President Kamala Harris for her hypocrisy. Trump accused Harris of stealing the no tax on tips idea while simultaneously supporting increased IRS surveillance on people's tips. These people are fake, Trump declared, pointing out how the administration had previously hired 88,000 IRS agents to target waitresses and caddies over tips, only for Harris to adopt his policy when it suited her politically.
That you're supportive of legal immigration, but we also need to shut down illegal immigration, and especially unvetted illegal
yes,
immigration, because and that's not the same as saying that everyone who's an illegal immigrant is bad. In fact, I think most people who are illegal immigrants are actually good, but you can't tell the difference unless there's a solid vetting of who comes across the border. Does that accurately
100%.
represent your position?
I say it
Okay.
very simply. They have to come in legally. They have to be checked
Yeah.
because look, Kamala was the border czar. Now she's denying it. Everything that I do, she's
Yeah.
saying she was strong on the border. We're going to be strong. Well, she doesn't have to say it. She could close it up right now. They could do things right now. It's horrible. Uh, no tax on tips, and all of a sudden she's making a speech and there will be no tax on tips. I said that months ago. And by the way, they had just the opposite. They had not only tax on tips, but they hired 88,000 IRS agents, and many of them were assigned to go get waitresses and caddies and all of this on tips. They have a policy. They had a policy that they were really going to go after you and were really harassing people horribly. And then all of a sudden, for politics, she says, she comes out with what I said, which I think is terrible. And I think it's also hitting them very hard. These people are fake. Now they're also saying they did a good job on the border. We had the worst numbers in the history of the world, not of our country. There's never been a country in history that has had a catastrophe like this. We've had, I believe, and I think you believe this too. You know, you hear 12
Yeah.
million, 13. I believe it's over 20 million people came into our country.
Yeah.
Many coming from jails, from prisons, from mental institutions, or a bigger version of that is
Yeah.
insane asylums, and many are terrorists.
So just basically having a chance to go and discuss on the actual policies on that one. So then Musk then issued a dire warning about the future of America if the current border policies continue. I'm not sure we've got a country if open borders persist for another 4 years, Musk warned. Trump stressed that if Kamala gets into office, it would lead to 50 to 60 million people entering the country from all over the world.
And I saw an ad by Kamala saying how she is going to provide border security. Where has she been for 3.5 years? For 3.5 years,
Yeah. No. This is
we have 20 million people
this I
poured
think
in.
is.
It's a terrible
Yeah, I
thing.
think this, frankly, I think this is a fundamental existential issue for the United States. And if we have another 4 more years of open borders, and it's going to be even worse with another 4 more years, it's going to be even worse than it's been for the past, 3.5 years. I'm not sure we've got a country
You don't have
left
a country
at that
left.
point.
Elon, if they get in, you will have 50 to 60 million people from all over the world, not South America only. You know, we think of South America, we think of Honduras and El Salvador, Guatemala, and Mexico, you know, the four. But it's not that. It's everywhere. They're coming in from
Yeah,
everywhere. And I had to stay in
yeah, I think
Mexico.
this is a super important
Yeah.
point. Like people, it's like basically when I went down there, I was like, well, where are people from? It's like almost no one was from Mexico. To be
No,
clear,
Mexico
it's
less,
just it's just
less
it's
than
just the
the others.
border. It's just the border with Mexico. But the people coming in, it's Earth, the rest of Earth, and America is only about 4 or 5% of the population of Earth. It would only take a few percent of the rest of Earth to overwhelm everything in the
We're
U.S.
already
So.
overwhelmed, Elon. We're overwhelmed.
And that's just their takes over there on the immigration side. So, and they also said too as well, the funniest moment, that Trump quiped that Joe Biden's IQ is so low, he may not even have an IQ at all. There is nothing on the board that goes this
There's
low.
nothing. And we did things and said things through this president with a low IQ, very low IQ. He had a low IQ 30 years ago, by the way, but now he might not even have a IQ at all. There's nothing on the board that goes this low. He said things that were so stupid that war would have been, that war had zero chance of happening if I were there. Zero chance. He was saying everything
Yeah.
the opposite. Everything the opposite. And it's so sad because many more people have been killed in Ukraine than you read about. You don't read about how bloody it is and how disaster.
Sure.
Hey, look, just in the two armies, you lost 500,000 people. And
Yeah.
you know, Ukraine's having a hard time. Ukraine, I don't know if you saw
Yeah.
the article recently, and it's true. You don't hear the true story, but if you think about it, Russia's gone. You know, Russia defeated Germany with us, and they defeated Napoleon. You know, they've been around a long time. They're a big fighting
Yeah.
force,
Sure. Of
and it's
course.
very unfair. And Ukraine now doesn't have enough men. They're now using young men and very old men to fight, and we're in a very bad position. And I'm not going to blame exclusively, but I can tell you I could have stopped that, and a smart president could have stopped that. It wouldn't have happened. But we had a
Yeah.
man that actually made it. It made it more prevalent. It was so bad. The words that he was using, the stupid threats coming from a stupid face that he was using. I said, this guy's going to cause us a war. He's going to cause us. And let me tell you,
Yeah.
it can
Yeah.
lead to World War III. That can lead to World War III. The Middle East can lead to. We have numerous places that could end up in a
Yeah.
World War III right now for no reason
No,
whatsoever.
And also take on the ongoing wars going on as of this second. So the conversation continued. Musk proposed a bold plan to cut government spending, linking inflation directly to government overspending. Inflation comes from government overspending because the checks never bounce when it's written by the government. He suggested the creation of a government-efficient commission to scrutinize and reduce unnecessary expenditures, pointing out that the national debt's interest payments have now surpassed the defense budget, a situation that demands immediate action.
Understand where.
The inflation, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter what you make. The inflation is eating you alive. If you're a worker or if you're just a middle income person, you can't afford. You know, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, people were saving a lot of money. Today, they're using
Yeah.
all their money and borrowing money just to live. It's a horrible thing
Right.
that's happening, and we'll end that
Well, I think
quickly.
a lot of yeah, a lot of people just don't understand where inflation comes from. Inflation comes from government overspending because the checks never bounce when it's written by the government. So if the government spends far more than it brings in, that increases the money supply, and if the money supply increases faster than the rate of goods and services,
That's right.
that's inflation. So really, we need to have we need to reduce our government spending, and we need to re-examine. I think we need like a government efficiency commission to say like, hey, where are we spending money that's sensible? Where is it not
Right.
sensible? And we need to live within our means. We're currently adding, I think, $1 trillion to the deficit roughly
Right.
every 100 days.
That's right.
And the interest payments on the national debt have now exceed the defense budget. It's on the order of $1 trillion,
It's interest.
and it keeps
Yeah.
growing.
which is still a very serious issue overall. And of course, too, as well, the very last things, Musk, actually, I think there's maybe one or two more after this one, too, but basically had a chance to go and call it the censorship of issues with European Commissioner Thierry Breton for trying to censor his conversation with Trump himself. Basically, with great audience comes great responsibility. Was met with a sharp response from Musk, who shared a meme telling Breton to take a big step back and literally your own face. In contrast to the censorship regimes across the world, Musk told Trump, I think it's obvious that you're a believer and an advocate of free speech. Why? Because during your first time as president, you were attacked relentlessly every day, often very unfairly with these false attacks. And you didn't try to shut down the media. You didn't try to inhibit their freedom of speech. And I think that says a lot.
And there's a lot of attempts to do censorship and to force censorship, even on Americans from other countries. And I think it's obvious that you're a believer and an advocate of free speech because during your first term as president, you were attacked relentlessly every day, often very unfairly with false attacks, and you didn't try to shut down the media. You didn't try to inhibit their freedom of speech, and I think that says a lot. And there's a lot of attempts to.
And that's in regards on the censorship issue over there. So in case you guys were kind of curious, that was kind of like, I think, the overall best gist of it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video itself. I try not to be too political on the channel, but I figured a lot of people would be looking for this and searching for this. So this is on over here. If you guys do want to check it out, there was also a space that was live. If you guys go to the Donald Trump Twitter account, this is not me like having a political affiliation. I just want to show people because I'm sure people on, like I said, both the left and the right would be looking for this one and just kind of curious on well, the good or the bad or the ugly or whatever they kind of think at the end of their day. So once again, shout out over here to Vigilant Fox, and thank you guys all so much for watching. Subscribe if you guys are new. We have all the Target links down below for our summer holiday sale. Make a lot of gaming videos you guys want. I appreciate y'all for watching.